Hello, Standard 8. Now we started with the age of Guptas, and in age of Guptas, so far we have completed the sources. We completed about the sources where you studied account of Fahiyan. Then you also studied about the Allahabad pillar inscription. Then you studied about Chandragupta I and Samudra Gupta. Now today's class will be doing Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. Now Chandragupta II Vikramaditya, okay, he was Chandragupta II, or he was also known as Chandragupta Vikramaditya. Okay, now here the Gupta inscription mentions that Chandragupta II succeeded his father Samudra Gupta. Okay, so he was the successor of Samudra Gupta and he inherited. See, his father, his grandfather, they were very powerful. So he inherited the military genius of his father and extended the Gupta Empire by conquest of his own. So he annexed the territories, like he defeated the Sakas. Okay, he defeated the Sakas of Gujarat, Malwa, and Saurashtra. So he was given the title Sakari, means conqueror of Saka. So what was the title which was taken by him? Sakari. Why? Because he annexed the territories of Sakas of Gujarat, Malwa, and Saurashtra. So he was given the title Sakari. So here Chandragupta too entered into matrimonial alliances as part of his foreign policy and he married Kubera Naga of Naga family. Okay, matrimonial alliance and he made himself very powerful. That was his foreign policy. And he married to whom? He married to Kubera Naga belonging to Naga family. And at that time, the Nagas were very, very powerful ruling clan. This matrimonial alliance helped the Gupta rulers in expanding his empire. Then, the marriage of Chandragupta's daughter Prabhavati with Vakataka that is Rudrasena too, helped him to establish his political influence in the Deccan political influence. How? By marrying his daughter Pravavati with Vakataka ruler Rudrasena too. Now, most of his information with Chinese pilgrim, Fahiyan, he visited India and he has not mentioned Chandragupta's two name, but he has mentioned the very interesting information about the life of the people and the general condition of the people. Okay, now the next thing, like Samudra Gupta, he issued a wide varieties of gold coin. Samudra Gupta also issued gold coins. He also issued wide varieties of gold coin. Difference in designs between the coins of two rulers are significant. Then Chandragupta too is represented as slaying a lion on some coins with regard to Simha Vikrama, whereas Samudragupta is shown as slaying a tiger. Okay. Then on many of his coins, Chandragupta too has the title Vikramaditya. So his court is said to have been adorned by 9 gems, including Kalidas, Varahamihir, Amar Simha. He had 9 genius people in his court, 9 gems in his court. Then he was succeeded by Kumaragupta, and it was during the Kumaragupta's period that Hunas, a barbarian tribe of Central Asia, invaded India for the first time. And at that time, the next attack, the crown prince Skandgupt had ascended the throne and he gave the Huns a crushing defeat and they did not dare attack India in the next 50 years. The next we have Gupta administration, and here in Gupta administration in this video you will only study monarchy. So what type of government prevailed? Monarchy was the prevailing form of government during the Gupta period. Okay, monarchy was the prevailing form of government during the Gupta period, and you see, the theory of the divinity of king became popular during this period. The Gupta kings were compared to different gods. Okay, you see, the Gupta kings were compared to different gods: Yama, Varuna, Indra, and Kubera. And they were also compared to Vishnu as regard their function, because like Vishnu only they had their function was and preserving and protecting the people. Then Lakshmi, wife of Vishnu and goddess of prosperity, appears on many Gupta coins. Understood? Now here the Gupta kings enjoyed large number of powers which covered the political, administrative, military and judicial fields. There were the commander-in-chief of the army, Samudragupta, Chandragupta II and Skandagupta personally led their armies. The kings appointed all the governors and important military and civil officers. Okay, now the governors and their officers had to work under the control and guidance of king. Like the central secretariat also worked under the supervision of the king. The king was the source of all honor of titles. All land in the country was the property of the king, who could give away the same to anybody he pleased. And then what are the work which was done by him? He constructed dams, give shelter to foreigners, impose, recover and remit taxes and give justice. This was the duty of the king. And if any property was unclaimed, that went into the coffers of the king. Now, the king's pompous title means the title which was taken by the king, Parameshwara, Maharaja and Parambhakta. Okay, these were the titles which were taken by the king. Now, despite the divine elements attributed to Gupta kings, the Brahmins, as the chief custodian and interpreter of laws, exercised a check on the royal powers. That means caste system prevailed in the society very strictly. It was followed very strictly. So today's class, you studied about Chandragupta II, who assumed the title Saka because he defeated the Sakas of Gujarat, Malwa, Sakari, because he defeated the Sakas of Gujarat, Malwa and Saurashtra. So he assumed the title Sakari. Then he entered into matrimonial alliances. Okay. And as a part of his foreign policy. Then you also have studied that he issued large number of gold coins. And in Gupta administration, you studied that he was compared with different gods like Yama, Varuna, Indra, and Kubera. And you also have studied that the king was very, very powerful. He appointed all the governors and important military and civil officers. You also studied that the king pompous titles were Parameshwara, Maharaja Dhiraja, and Parambhaktaraka. Okay, these were the titles which were assumed by the kings. Okay, so please learn the given topic. Thank you.